Right, so what's happening this morning? Because you all got my email. About a month or so ago in June, we were invited by Gowling to go to a presentation about, you can correct me if I've got the title wrong, but it's about technology in construction and how technology influences and is involved in construction now and in the future. Myself, Martin, and a few of the guys went, Sharon, Stuart. And afterwards we thought it was an incredibly good presentation. It's a pity that we all couldn't do it. So I took a punt and contacted these guys and just said, would you mind coming in and present to the rest of Store Design, please? And they kindly agreed. So for the next hour, the guys will come in and you'll get a presentation on technology in construction. What we've also got is, because it's quite a lot, it's quite involved, quite a few bits and pieces, some really interesting stuff. We've also got the creative room for an hour after, because there's bits and pieces on VR, AR, 3D printing, and anything that you've got about as a Q&A, because these guys are an amazing resource to have. They've kind of given their time up for 2 hours a day. So if you do have any questions, any queries, please make the most of them. So yes, over to you guys. Thanks, Sarah.
Morning guys, thank you for having us. My name's Sarah Rock. I'm a Senior Associate at Gowling WLG in the construction team. I've only been a lawyer for a short time. Before that I was an electrical contractor and a CAD engineer. I left just before BIM came out and it all got really exciting. So I've taken that up as my practice area. I'm working in digital construction and all things techy and geeky. This morning we're going to talk about digital construction in various forms. So just to set the scenes, we're going to look at laser scanning, which I'm going to leave to the expert David. 3D printing. Believe it or not, this slide here is the first 3D printed office in Dubai. I think it's this building, not these buildings here. And this is a concrete 3D printer printing the buildings. Quite a lot of that going on in China at the moment. The longevity of that is yet to be tested, so that'll be interesting. We've been looking at drone use. The government has released a consultation paper about whether we ought to be registering drones, whether there ought to be some sort of sky control like we have for planes to register drones and keep control of them. But they are being used, as you can see, for dangerous surveys on sites, and I think they were used at Grenfell actually. They went up the side of the building so they could see in. Not just a toy anymore, now a profession to be a drone pilot. And robotics we're seeing coming through, not so much here. This is actually an Australian bricklayer. So it uses GPS and coding and lays the bricks out. So we're wondering if that would solve the shortage of trade skills in the industry. We'll see what happens. VR and AR I'm going to leave to Michelle. Who's more of an expert and has much more exciting gadgets than I do. And smart cities I'll leave to my colleagues Gemma and Richard, who are looking at smart cities and smart retail, which I think would be quite interesting to you guys. So BIM is my area. As I said, I've been practicing digital construction law in whatever form that is for a little while. I co-chair the London BIM region and work with the UK BIM Alliance. We're currently doing a legal project as to whether lawyers are holding up BIM and they don't really understand it properly, so we're trying to figure that out. I understand you guys pretty much all know what BIM is, so I'm going to skip through this one just to save a bit of time. But BIM Level 2, as the UK government mandated last year, now has these 8 pillars which make it up. However, it's kind of a moving animal still at the moment, so I'm going to a talk this afternoon actually to discuss number 6 in the 1192 scheme. So these documents across the top flow down from BS 1192, which controls how the common data environment happens, or states how it should. And then these work through the CapEx, OpEx phase. 4 dictates how COBE should work, and 5 looks at cyber security. 6 is going to be the health and safety paths. So health and safety in your stores will come through that. If it's in relation to BIM, how that will be managed. The pillars across the bottom are the digital plan of work, which you can get from the MBS website. Classification, so it's your naming protocols. Government soft landings might be more applicable to you guys than most developers or designers. You could have your end user around the table. You could have a market research group with your customers around the table looking at how they'll use the store, and you can feed that into the model from the start. So that one would actually be more applicable to you than I think anybody I've spoken to previously. And then the last one is where we come in with the BIM protocol, which sits in the legal architecture. So you guys are kind of up here and would be dictating down through the employee's information requirements what you would like from a model, what you'd like from BIM, what software you'd like people to use, other designers, the contractors, in building your stores. And then they would produce a BIM execution plan to respond to that and tell you how they're going to do it. And then we slot in here and feed that down into a BIM protocol which attaches to all of your store external designers and contractors' contracts to make sure everybody's working from the same page in BIM. BIM protocol at the moment is going through a rewrite. There's only one standard form contract for it, which is produced by the CIC. It's not being used very much. So they're looking through it, and I think one element in particular that they'll look through is the CDE management and hosting. I don't know if you guys host your own cloud environment, if you host your own common data environment, if you outsource it. It's relevant at the moment. There's a case that's just come out, so it's exciting for lawyers in the room. Common data environment, we normally see this nice fluffy picture. A cloud is the cold hard reality of a data centre on the edge of town somewhere, and we hire a bit of space there and keep all of the information for the model in there. I'm not sure if any of you have seen this diagram, if any of you are that geeked up on BIM like I am. This is from the 1192 suite of documents and describes how the process in the cloud should work. So you've got your design teams over here all working. I'm not sure why it starts on the top right hand corner, but it does. You've got task team 1, 2 and 3, so that's your different designers all working on their own models, and then they throw them up to the cloud over here, and everybody else can look at them and they can all share the data and share the information. When that's at a suitable stage, they push it down through this gateway to the client's area of the cloud, and then the client uses it and takes it forward. There was a case that came out last week, which we don't have the full judgment for, so we don't know the full ins and outs on the legal side, but I wouldn't bore you with that bit anyway. It was a payment dispute, and the design consultant who held the keys to the common data environment switched it off. So it's, say Gemma has employed me, and I'm working for her and I'm managing the cloud. Gemma stops paying me, so I take my drawings away, but I've also taken Richard's away and yours away and yours away. No one can get into the cloud, no one can carry on, no one can use the program that's in there, no one can use the information that's in there. So it's quite an interesting case, and the judge said Gemma had to pay some money into court and I had to give her the keys back to the common data environment, which I think is quite a sensible judgment, but I think it will affect how we draft contracts for who hosts the cloud going forward, so I think it's quite something to just keep in the back of your minds at the moment. Few legal considerations of that. Do we have any lawyers in the room? I'm probably not going to be. It's probably good that we have. I guess just a few things to think about from your side then, if you're not lawyers, is probably the main one is cybersecurity. I think you guys must be all over that. We were talking about the security of the Wi-Fi earlier. I think just make sure everything's safe and sound and secure, and anything you put up in the cloud. Realise the cloud is at risk outside of your environment because you're probably not hosting your own cloud, so just keep an eye on that and keep it secure. My final slide that I do tend to use on talks like this is if there's any sort of doubters of BIM in the room, I tend to ask, who used to play with Lego when they were a kid? Who still plays with Lego? Yeah. If you're playing with Lego, you have to. I'm going to use Gemma again. Sorry, you shouldn't have sat there. So I want to play Lego with Gemma, so I have to call her up. I have to physically go over to her house. We play Lego, and then I go home again. Who plays with Minecraft? Who knows a kid that plays with Minecraft? Minecraft is kids in different rooms, different buildings, different cities, different countries, all playing together in the cloud. They're actually doing the next level of BIM without knowing it. So that generation coming through is going to wonder why we've not been using this forever. It's second nature to them. So I think that's where we're going to end up going. I'm going to stop there and introduce Michelle Brief, who's the MD of Hobbs, who has much more exciting and techie gadgets to show you. Thank you, guys.
Morning, guys. Okay, so what I'd like to do today, well, first to give you an overview of Hobbs. We're a technology studio that specializes in providing 3D technology services for architecture, engineering, construction, and property. And we've started off we started off 4 years ago with one little 3D printer in one of our offices, and we've grown hugely. We've now become the largest 3D printer in the country. God, it sounds like I'm bragging. Sorry, okay, rewind. But it is good. We are the largest 3D printer in the country, and probably about 2 or 3 years ago, I became very interested in the visualization side of things, because if you think about the fact that we can 3D print from a digital model, and think about most architects or construction companies are producing a digital model, we can then 3D print from it. Then I started thinking, okay, we use the same digital model. We can do your usual boring, sorry, I shouldn't say boring, CGI animations, but it can also be an output into augmented and virtual reality. So we've very much been experimenting with that over the last few years. The ideas that we're having behind virtual reality certainly is to, for property, for instance, to create, rather than, say for instance, you want to go and see a flat that you want to buy or an apartment, and you have to go to a marketing suite. Rather than building a marketing suite, why don't we create a virtual marketing suite? So you go into a virtual, say this is the marketing suite, you walk in, put on a pair of glasses, you look around, there is your apartment, or you choose apartment A, but you don't want carpets in your bedroom in apartment A, you want wood floors, so you can touch onto the area and this changes into wood floors. And I think this is really the future for property and for architecture as well. And for construction, what we're doing with VR at the moment is a very exciting project we're working on. I can't talk too much about it, but there's this gigantic drill that does something in the Thames, and it's very dangerous. And when people have to be trained up to work this drill, it's a dangerous environment. So what we're doing is we're creating a virtual environment, which is a lot safer. And we would then teach them evacuation sequences, what to do in this situation or that situation. And we're kind of bang in the middle of that, and if that works, it'll be something pretty big. So exciting stuff, and every day we're doing something new within the studio. So what I'd like to do now is show you some examples of I was told today mostly to speak about AR and VR, but I'm super proud of what we're doing with 3D print. So I thought I'd show you some examples of what we're doing at the moment. Yeah. Ah, there's a clicker. Telepathy. So really, what we do as a company, just really quickly, is we will go out. This is a very good example of a project that we've worked in. We will go out, this is Manchester Town Hall. We'll go out with our terrestrial laser scanners, which you'll hear about later. We'll go in, we'll capture all the data. We'll then bring that data back into the office and model it up in Revit and create a digital file from that, which we will either give to our clients to start their BIM journey, or the other exciting things, which is to 3D print it. So that's 3D printed from the model that we've captured. Or then we would take the same model and output it into AR or VR. So just a few examples. This is what we've become very well known for in the industry. We create plug models. So our client will create an area in London. What's in the hand is the proposed building. They'll go into a meeting and try and win the project by having various iterations of that proposed building. So decisions are made very quick and on the spot, and you'll see the high level of detail that is on that model. That's been captured because it's digitally captured by LiDAR, and a traditional model maker cannot make that kind of detail. This is the UK's largest master plan model that we've just completed. I'm very aware of time, so I'll click through quickly. This is the models coming off of our machines. So this is the UK's largest 3D printer as well. Here I go again. This printer can print a model as big as the table in the front. Okay, so that's what the model looks like when it comes off the printer. The weird stuff growing on the side is the support material that helps it grow. And then what happens is we use that to create a full marketing model. Now in the old days, if you wanted a marketing model, you're looking at 3 to 4 months to make it traditionally by hand. We 3D print that building over the weekend that you saw, then it goes into our model making studio with all the pretty bits, and we can turn a model around like that in 2 weeks. So that means it's faster, it's accurate because it's directly from the architect's files, and it looks good. Okay,